Singapore could see growing calls for religious beliefs to be considered in policy making, as a bigger proportion of people considers their faith central to their identities. Researchers say these findings from a survey may have implications for religious harmony, as groups may jostle for greater public attention and space. They add that such evolving dynamics mean that religious leaders need to be continued to be engaged on matters like social cohesion. Aslam Shah reports.
Being Singaporean, the language used most, and religion. These were among the markers 4,000 Singaporeans had to consider in deciding what shapes their identity. They were participants of a 2024 survey by the Institute of Policy Studies. Among Singaporeans who have religious affiliations, nearly 3/4 see it as central to their identity, up from 69% in 2018. Still, national identity was the top factor. 87% said it was important or very important to them.
So ultimately, it's important to recognize that our belief in religion and our love for nation need to coexist together. And as such, we serve our belief of our religious practices together with the nation's goals and objectives. So I think that's where we should not dilute our identity away from religion as well as our service for the nation.
Muslims were most likely to say religion was very important at 59%, followed by Christians at 38%, then Buddhists and Taoists. The findings also revealed generational differences in views on religion. 64% of young adults aged 18 to 35 saw religion as important, compared with almost 74% of those older than 65.
One component that perhaps religious leaders can work towards could be the provision, for instance, of end-of-life services. These could be, simply having conversations with individuals, towards with regards to end-of-life care, with regards to how should they broach such topics with their families, with their loved ones also.
Views on how religion should relate to society are also shifting. 1 in 3 respondents now say religion should be kept pure and traditional, while only 1 in 5 support adapting it to secular realities. Researchers say the study highlights the need to nurture a Singapore where religion remains a source of meaning without undermining national unity. They say that the real challenge is not just managing diversity, but turning it into strength. That means religious traditions and secular governance work hand in hand, guided by open dialogue and a strong commitment to community spirit. Traditional practices are becoming less common. Daily prayer has declined over the decade, while meditation and engagement with religious media online have risen sharply. Researchers say online content should be carefully considered, especially when many creators live overseas. That's as they may promote ideas that run against the realities of practicing faith in a multicultural society. They say at the most extreme, these influences risk feeding into religious radicalization.
And for more insights, Dr. Mathew Mathews, head of the IPS Social Lab, joins us now to tell us more. Dr. Mathews, welcome to Singapore Tonight. From the survey, being Singaporean remains the most important part of our identity, and religion ranks highly as part of identity too. So how should people balance these two aspects? Are they mutually exclusive?
Really, they're not mutually exclusive at all. The Singapore framework really does not require people to give up their culture, their traditions, so long as those traditions do not seek to stop other traditions from also being practiced. So in the Singapore case, we clearly see that the Singapore identity is something that many Singaporeans hold dear to. And it's an identity which is essentially very inclusive, an identity that promotes, or which is very open to religion, but at the same time wants religion to be played out in a way that is constructive for society. So these can really be balanced out very well.
And what factors are driving these evolving sentiments?
If you think about religion becoming more and more important or being part of people's identity, I think one thing we have to consider is that people move towards religion, particularly in seasons where there are greater uncertainties. People do feel a sense that religion provides some solace, comfort, direction, and that's often much needed when you have uncertainty. So much of the uptake that you see on religion, or at least for people who have a religious background, to feel stronger about their faith and feel greater orientation towards it, it probably speaks about some of the changes that we see in the world today.
And Dr. Mathews, how can religion reinforce social bonds rather than divide people, even as religiosity grows?
It's really in how religion is practiced. If religion is practiced in a way that tells people to segregate themselves, keep away from others, don't have any association with people who are not from your particular brand or religion, then that really is religion that causes lots of division. But religion can also be a strong force that promotes goodwill among people. Religion allows people to come together, people from different backgrounds to be able to come together and to feel a certain kind of connection. So religion can do quite a few things. And really, it's how religion is preached within a particular place that would result in whether it divides people or whether it is a strong glue that helps.
So it is a strong force for goodwill, as you mentioned, but these views on how religion relates to society, they appear to be shifting. For instance, new religious movements and buffet-style religiosity, they are becoming more common. So what are we to make of these shifts?
You know, and this is really very much global. People do increasingly have access to many religions. You can find out about different faiths and different practices, and sometimes people may not feel the need to be grounded in any one tradition. Now, I mean, the fact is that the great overwhelming majority, even in the Singapore case, they ground themselves in a particular tradition, but there'll always be, I think, growing groups of people who would for various reasons, feel that it would be better for them to, or they feel connected to different religions at the same time. They can pick some things from different religions which they feel might be meaningful. And I think this again speaks of both increased awareness and understanding, and the fact that today how religion is played out. I mean, it's played out in a space where there's a lot more freedom for people to explore. There was a day and a time when religion was very much a force which would control, and there would be family or the community which would have a hold on an individual to kind of determine how they practice it. Today, people are very much free in how they practice. And so with that, then, of course, people will access religion in different ways.
Given the increasing frequency with which individuals turn to religious media, how does this affect religious practice and ideas here in Singapore? And what is also the role of religious leaders in protecting harmony?
It's very clear that there is a shift in terms of religious practice. Fewer are attending religious gatherings. Not a big drop, but there's certainly a drop. And perhaps over the years in COVID, people have gotten used to not being there at a religious gathering. There are online ways of being able to access religious content. Even prayer is going down a little bit, but certainly people are consuming more online content and religious content. And this content comes from very different parts of the world. And all content has a way of influencing people's practice and ideas of how religion should be played out. But, you know, that may not be, or may not always work in the Singaporean context. So we have to be observant about these trends. And it's not something you can ban everybody in every religious site, which may not conform to what would be good within a Singapore context. But religious leaders can certainly help. They can provide guidance. They can help people to be discerning, or their adherents to be discerning about what they receive, and also to contextualize what they receive within our Singaporean multi-religious system and structure.
All right, Dr. Mathews, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for that. That was Dr. Mathew Mathews, head of the IPS Social Lab at the NUS Institute of Policy Studies.